Hello, good evening, and thanks for joining us on this evening's edition of Majority Caucus. We are live on your Joy News channel on your multi TV. My name is Ali Dawood. Tonight, we will be taking a look at the issue regarding the IEA debate. Who has the mandate to organize presidential debates in the run-up to the 2016 election, whether indeed is the sole proprietary interest of IEA or the NCCE as part of their civic responsibilities can also embark upon this political initiative. We would end up touching slightly on corruption, the fact that President Mahama was invited to attend the World Anti-Corruption Forum in London and the matters that arose subsequent to that. Stay with me, we'll be right back. Hello, welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, this is Majority Caucus live on your Joy News channel on your multi TV. My name is Ali Dawood. Like I indicated earlier, we'll be discussing the issue about IEA. I stated last week that we'll dedicate a whole show for that, and we are doing that. I think the posturing of Jane Mensah, who happens to be the director, if I'm right, of Institute of Economic Affairs, that's the IEA. She sounded as though political parties have no option to mount other platforms to engage in political or presidential debates, if you like. I know in other jurisdictions, even media houses do organize. We know of the Fox debate, we know of the CNN debate. And so it's a common practice that once you put yourself in this business, you begin to allow some criticism. I don't think the IEA as an institution is beyond criticism. And so for Jane Mensah to describe the comments and some reservations being expressed largely by the governing political party, NDC, as annoying and lacking maturity and polluting the air, I'm quoting her words, I think that is most offensive. I am unable to lend any credibility, or I'm unable to lend myself to this kind of conduct. As an institution, they should be prepared to open themselves up for criticisms. In any case, it's a suggestion that is being made to better their activities, to sharpen, if you like, the rough edges, or to smoothen the rough edges. I don't think that Jane Mensah owes it upon herself to get very upset and engage in that unfortunate utterances on air. Tonight, I have a development practitioner. He's been here before. He's here with us tonight. His name is Rabiu Al-Hassan Mohammed. He's also an NDC member communication team in the Northern region. And he would help us to do justice to tonight's topic whilst we wait for the other guests. Rabiu, welcome.
Thank you.
It's been a while.
Yeah, sure.
You look refreshed.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Rabiu, I think time has fast been spent, but I need you to help me appreciate this, if you like, cacophony surrounding the IEA debate. It is the view of Jane Mensah that NCCE lacks the capability to organize the presidential debate because they've not done it before. But I know IEA, prior to they organizing the maiden edition of the presidential debate, they also had no such experience.
Yeah.
They never did it.
Yeah.
So if they deserve the chance, I don't know why NCC, a state-mandated institution, to carry out such an exercise should not be listened to.
Yeah, I think my thoughts are in tandem with your view. I think that this time round, the IEA could have done better. I have applauded them over the years for such a significant contribution to the country's democratic development. And I expect that at all times they are able to keep the standards high. But this time round, it is quite unfortunate the posturing of the IEA, especially that of Jean Mensa. First of all, let me commend the IEA. As I said earlier, they started the maiden presidential debate and even parliamentary ones as far back as 2000. And in 2000, the presidential candidate of the NDC did not take part in the debate. In 2004, His Excellency John Agyekum Kufuor did not also take part in the debate. In 2008, we had a wonderful debate where our candidate took part, and it was such a good program organized by the IEA. Then in 2012, we had a debate that was so wonderful organized by the IEA. To this end, I think that the IEA has attained a level of credibility that must not be dented by such a posturing as they are putting forth today. The IEA, in their own documents, have stated categorically that the IEA believes that those who wish to govern must subject themselves to probing questions by the people to ensure that they understand their concerns and have the capacity to address them. Presidential debates provide a platform for the flag bearers to come together on a single platform. Single platform.
Keyword.
Take note of that operational phrase, because we will be looking at it later in the day. On a single platform to dialogue and discuss their policies and programs and answer questions from the electorate. To this extent, I think that the scope of having to give the electorates or the citizenry the opportunity to participate is not the major preserve of the IEA. Absolutely. I will not be able to take anything away from their efforts. As I stated up initially, they have done so well. But if the IEA thinks that at this point in time or the other, they can take unilateral decisions, that is one of the major concerns of not just the NDC, but other political parties. In the build-up to this cacophony, the IEA had not done any consultation with the political parties. Even if they did, other political parties might have been aware of that, but the NDC is not aware. Absolutely. And I think that a program of this magnitude, a program that is seeking to educate the citizenry, a program that is seeking to deepen our democracy through participation on the part of the citizenry, must not exclude the very people for whom the program is intended, which are the people, the citizens themselves and the political parties themselves. So you cannot take an isolated decision without involving these political parties. And so the IEA in the first place goofed by taking that unilateral decisions. And honestly, we as a party are not happy about that. I heard other political parties, the PNC, the National Chairman, Bernard Mona, and other political parties apart from the MPP, expressing worry to the extent that the IEA has not been able to deepen consultations regarding this year's
only the
debate.
MPP issued a statement through their National Youth Organizer that they are ready.
Yeah, I read a statement, and I even listened to him interviewed on that, and I got quite surprised. A party that prides itself as, you know, a democratic institution that is always, you know, working hard for democracy to thrive in this country, taking such a position. Over the years, Mr. Ali, I have always had a problem regarding even the selection criteria. And in the last debate, only parties with representation in parliament were allowed to participate in the debate. And I think that particular criterion alone was flawed in the first place. We have parties with leaders who have enormous contributions to have made with respect to these debates, not to the extent that one might think they will win or not, but it is a platform where political parties represented by their flag bearers come to tell us what they have for the Ghanaian people. You understand that? So if we have other parties, sorry, anyone may call them minority parties, whether minority they are or majority they are. You don't know what, you know, resources they have in terms of policies and programs. So you allow such political parties also the platform to come and deliver to the Ghanaian people. Even on that particular platform, despite the fact that political parties will be coming out with their manifestos, these other political parties may come out with issues that will be adopted by other political parties at the IEA debate.
And let me chip in this. The difficulty also arises where the Constitution and subsequent to that you have the Political Parties Act that properly defines what a political party is, and this political party, after it has been registered, given license to operate as a political party, you have the IEA setting the different parameter within which to define what constitutes a political party. And in their definition, if it doesn't suit them, then they would opt for people or political parties with representation in parliament. I think that's an affront to our constitution, because you would have situations where you have independent candidates. They don't come on any political party.
Absolutely.
Is IEA saying that they don't deserve to tell Ghanaians their policy alternatives, what they have for Ghanaians based on which they should be voted for? And then finally, even the Republicans debate, organized by Fox and CNN, you have as many as 17 aspirants on one platform. How many political parties do we have in Ghana? I don't think they're up to 17.
They are not up.
IEA should be able to contain that. I don't know what your view is.
Yes, I think that's the point I was making. The fact that the IEA's intention, the basic objective of the IEA is to deepen democratic participation by giving these political parties the platform is enough to tell the IEA that allow all political parties to participate, irrespective of their number. You don't know what ideas they are bringing on board. Absolutely. So to me, as part of the several criteria they use in selecting political parties, this particular one is problematic, and they have to look at that. Coming to the issue of the use of words like annoying and lack of political maturity, that is quite unfortunate, if not bizarre. Because if you are taking a decision that involves us, a decision regarding a debate in which we go in to participate, and we have not been consulted, I think we reserve every right to say that we are not going to participate in that particular debate.
IEA engages in
we are not aware of that, but as part of their response, they said that a survey was conducted. If a survey was conducted regarding the program, the participants, and others, wouldn't it have been very good if you shared, you know, the findings of the survey with the very participants?
And they have a website, but they could publish it there.
And many others have not been done. And to that extent, we find the whole procedure
you're actually questioning
problematic.
The research methodology as to whether or not there was a research.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Even in doubt.
As we speak now, as we speak now, we will not even be able to confirm whether there was a research or not. And so, if we express our grievances, if we tell the IEA that we are not satisfied with the whole process and procedure leading to the 2016 presidential debates, and as a result, we are not going to take part, I don't think that is annoying. And I don't think it's in any way, you know, it's in any way a matter of political maturity. That is even the apex of political maturity. Indeed. We should be able to tell you point blank that we have reservations with this, and as a result, we are not going to take part. You see that as part of that, I don't know whether we'll be coming to that, but the decision to involve only 2 political parties.
Exactly. We will delve into that, but let me just announce to viewers quickly that they can join in the conversation via our social media platform, Facebook, /Joy News on TV. And also could reach us on WhatsApp on 0560 800,000. 0560 800,000. We'll be right back. Don't go away. And welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us, this is Majority Caucus live on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. Before we went for break, we were discussing the IEA debates and the brouhaha. But we've been joined in the studio by the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Youth Enterprise Support, Prince Derek Ajay, who happens also to be a member of the NDC communication team. Prince, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Prince, earlier we were discussing whether or not the criteria set by IEA in defining what a political party is the right way to go, and whether or not the selectivity in terms of which political parties they think will give them better business as compared to giving the citizenry the opportunity to make a selection based on broad participation from all registered political parties. I would have your take on that.
Well, good evening to your viewers, and I'd like to say big congratulations to my colleague. I think he's dealt with the key issues. IEA doesn't deserve much airtime. In fact, IEA is simply a business entity that wants to just make some money. I mean, Jean Mensah and the husband have nurtured a fine business, and unfortunately for Ghanaians, they positioned it such that it seems more credible than it should. In fact, I believe that to some extent, state institutions were weakened over time to allow for such, pseudo-political entities to
occupy that vacuum.
Yeah. The IEA debates started way back, and if you recall, it started during the NPP era. No wonder. They've been doing a lot of bidding of their party, and so it doesn't surprise anyone when they are annoyed at their opponents' utterances. I think that the Deputy General Secretary was spot on when he made his statements that, the national organizer was spot on when he made the statements that annoyed Mrs. Jean Mensah. Obviously, he was virtually taking the bread out of their, dining table, and so it will be annoying. But if you realize the speed with which all the other parties rallied to one corner, that should tell you who is in the right. It's obvious that Mr. Kofi Adams was not speaking for the NDC on that occasion. He was speaking for Ghanaians, the Constitution, and common sense. And so naturally, all the other parties, including Dr. Endum and others, spoke, the same, from the same, exactly. Now, the IEA is not a creature of our Constitution. No. It is not known to Ghana.
Statutes.
Yes, it is only a business, and that is where it must be. It's not even a think tank. I mean, lately we've had members of the IEA, even when they are doing their official business, that is lecturing in the lecture hall, doing politics. I mean, it's obvious that these are a group of politicians who have a calling to do for their party, and they are doing it quite well. They should not pretend to be independent. I think that that is the basic thing that has come as a fallout of all of this. This evening, just on my way here, I was monitoring another station, the City FM, doing PR for the IEA. And I found it very saddening that they tried to pitch the Deputy General Secretary, Mr. Caucus Anidoho, against the Foreign Minister. But if you listen to the two eminent personalities, they were saying exactly the same thing. Whereas Mr. Caucus Anidoho was saying what the president has said when he threw the challenge to have a one-on-one with Nana Akufo-Addo. He said that the party reserves the ultimate say in whether there would be a debate or not and which platform it would be. The president conceded to that. And so Mr. Anidoho had consistently said the same thing. Now, the attempt by Mrs. Jean Mensah to draw in the foreign minister and pretend that she's been having some ongoing conversations with people in the parties in the run-up to this has now been exposed by the PR, apparatus of City FM, which she had hired to do the PR for her. In fact, now they are claiming that her statements were in reference to 2012 debate. Come on, 2012, we are in 2016. Jean Mensa is trying to tell Ghanaians that her most recent interactions are 2012.
2012.
When she was speaking earlier, she made it seem as though it was an ongoing, conversation that had happened recently. Yeah. So she's now accepting the fact that 4 years have passed without any communication between IEA and the political parties, particularly the NDC, on this matter. In fact, her party has not said that they've not been spoken to, but even her party has said that they've kind of distanced themselves from any ongoing conversations. And I think that it is unfortunate for anyone to attempt to hoodwink Ghanaians into believing some falsehood. And the PR machinery attempted to now knock heads of our 2 deputy general secretaries by calling the other deputy general secretary, Mr. Lawson, to try and pitch him against Mr. Koku Anidoho. Fortunately for us and unfortunately for them, he indicated that the NDC, like Koku had said, will boycott, and he would support that boycott. And that is consistent with what IEA deserves, not just from the NDC, but from all political parties across the board.
Just to sum it, has the NDC as a party taken that position that they are boycotting the IEA debate?
Well, the Deputy General Secretary,
these are individual views being expressed?
Yeah, Mr. Lawson indicated that the party would issue a statement once the decision is taken, but then he, like Koku, will support the boycott. In fact, these are 2 very prominent members of the party, and their statements are consistent with every other statement that I've heard any other NDC person, speak to this IEA issue. And I'm convinced that even if you allow PPP and other political parties to join the NDC decision-making process on this IEA, the decision will be unanimous, and the IEA debate will be boycotted in favor of the proper debate to be organized on a constitutional basis by the NCCE, which is a constitutional body clothed with the authority to do that, and Ghanaians have confidence in that.
I would say that anything short of an apology from Jean Mensa to Kofi Adams and
the foreign minister,
foreign affairs
for
minister,
lying about having spoken to her recently.
And anything short of an apology will be unacceptable.
And even the citizens of
yes, and the citizens of
and
Ghana
their donors,
at
they are donors too.
Of course, but we've run out of time, so let's quickly delve into the issues about corruption. I know even the same IEA had a research program on their published on their website that they have come to the conclusion based on their research that the presidency is the most corrupt entity in Ghana. Also, the foundation of this conclusion still remains in doubt. Prince, just shed some light on us for that. But it's important that we look at this in the broad context, vis-a-vis what the president said in the BBC interview when he went to London to attend the anti-corruption forum, that he has never taken a bribe. Just look at them in a holistic view.
Well, I think that it's most unfortunate that we are having a conversation on corruption at this time. Reason why I'm saying this is that the fight against corruption in Ghana has never been on a higher level than it is today. At least I do remember the good work that Professor Mills started with the judgment debts and asking for the extension of coverage of judgment debts, which the MPP equates to corruption, to cover all judgment debts. And then we had all sorts of ugly noises coming from their apologists like Kweku Baako and others, that we cannot go back to the days of Adam, not to pre-independence era, to deal with judgment debts, and that we should limit and cap it. Why should we cap corruption if you define judgment debts as corruption? Then we've heard their former president and others who have made comments about corruption in very flattery words, and lately captured in the Panama papers as a beneficiary of such corrupt processes. It's unfortunate that, again, this conversation is being done at a time when the visit was to no other country but to Britain, and hosted by no other person than David Cameron, who's captured in the same Panama papers. Our president has not been captured in any such document. And our president, as we all know, has never been cited in any corrupt deals, hard as the MPP and the apologists try to pin Admajaro, pin STX, pin, just name it. They try to pin anything on him. It won't stick. The point is that, yes, they're hoping to throw so much mud that at least something will stick somewhere. But the truth of the matter is that the man has said that he has never taken bribes and he has never given bribes. Now they're saying he was slow in answering it or trying to explain it. What childishness is this? We must get serious with the fight against corruption. What has the president done? The president has indeed frontally confronted corruption. Wherever there is corruption, he says, show me and I will deal with it. He's not said bring evidence, as some other people have said. He actually exemplifies, or let me say, use one example, that's a national service issue, and where his attention was drawn to some malpractice. He did not say, hold on, let me find out if any of my people are involved. He asked that the BNI conducts a very thorough investigation, and things happened. And he's taken action, and we've retrieved some monies. There are several other issues that, for example, people would point to readily. And Kwekubaku likes the Woyome one, for example, the Jida and so on. And they say that, why are we asking people to bring back monies without, you know, what do you call it? They being prosecuted. Well, I mean, two things. You can prosecute someone and not get your money. You can collect your money, but nothing stops you from proceeding to prosecute.
But let me just help you with this. The Caucus Act allows for an accused person to admit, and instead of going to jail, you refund the money.
Yes.
But it would have a criminal conviction without serving jail time. But you would have refunded the money.
Yeah.
So they should know it's part of our laws.
Just like Sir John was convicted without going to prison.
Exactly.
Okay.
You would have a criminal conviction,
okay.
but you would not have served jail time.
Yeah. I mean, I think that for me, the president has led a sunshine campaign, and that's the clearest sign of someone who's serious about corruption. Corruption and bribery are never done in the open.
No.
They are done in the dark. And so anyone who shines light on any suspected area of corruption is fighting corruption.
This is what I don't understand, Prince. Because the president is very poised at exposing corrupt things within his government or corrupt acts within his government, I think the more the exposure, it appears though then the opposition begins to feed in the wrong perception that, oh no, he's rather corrupt.
I think what has happened is that we have many stations reporting the same things. And so sometimes there's repeat reportage, which gives a sense or perception of an amplified, corruption, situation. That's one. Two is that there are some mischievous media houses who, even where there's nothing corrupt happening, try to, create a sensationalism and feed into that perception. Unfortunately for them, the records do not reflect what they are saying. Because if you look at the Corruption Perception Index and other, international indices, it points to a situation where we are doing much better. In fact, the president is being celebrated all over the world. And that is why they are in a blind haste to do him in. In fact, I think that the bigger motivation is not even our president at all. It is their candidate. The opposition candidate, Akufo-Addo.
You mean Akufo-Addo?
Yes. Today, for example, he was caught on tape playing cha-cha with children. Funny as it may sound, that is the least of his crimes because there are bigger issues.
I thought it's called Ayele. Oh, okay.
No, but cha-cha is not exactly a very good thing to show young people. I mean, this is somebody who is saying we should entrust our future to. And the young people of this country, instead of setting up a youth enterprise support or a IEA or any other such entity for their this, and he's playing cha-cha with them. But that's on the lighter side. The much more serious thing is the internal corruption in MPP, and that is what is the real motivation for what the MPP and their parachiks like Kwekubaku and others are trying to, as it were, dodge and shift the focus from their candidate to the president. Now, what is happening in MPP? I believe that recently Mr. Foucault, Paul Foucault, Kobne Jepon, Samir Krab, Dr. Kennedy and others have spoken about some internalized corruption which has been institutionalized under Akufo-Addo. In fact, if you look at the same time frame that the IEA was doing their debates and so on, the campaign team of Akufo-Addo was busily doing the same text messaging thing, which they had swindled Ghanaians into paying, and then they pocketed the money. Who was at the helm of all of this? Ken Ofori-Atta. Today, we have the same Ken Ofori-Atta and the same team together again. Now, what is interesting is that after they left the scene, after he lost that time, the new executive came, unearthed a lot of corruption, and asked for a probe. Akufo-Addo's response was, unlike the president who's shining light, he says, don't dare go to the police with our corrupt issues. Don't dare speak about our issues on radio. If you dare, I will have you either beaten or I will sack you. And indeed, he followed it through. We saw the invisible forces attack people. In fact,
including their party chairman.
Yeah, the media guys, you guys who were shooting over here today, weren't you chased out of the NPP headquarters? Yes, they were. We saw the footage. It was all over social media. So nobody can deny that. Machetes, etc. Press conference, live. As Empire FM people were running for their lives. That is what happened with the press conference that the sitting chairman and the general secretary had to confront when they unearthed corruption.
In essence, when Akufo-Addo says he's incorruptible, that's problematic.
Even that one has been debunked by his spokesperson, Nana Kumia. Nana Kumia says that nobody, I repeat, nobody can say they are incorruptible.
And that includes Akufo-Addo.
If he says nobody. In fact, he doubts the sincerity of the president because he does not believe that anybody can say, any human being can say, especially if you're holding high office or political office, that you cannot be corrupted and that you've never received or collected bribe. Akufo-Addo was in Parliament when PC Appeal confirmed the fact that $5,000 had been given to each of the MPP. Yes, each of the MPP MPs by their favorite corruption president in a bid to sell, the Vodafone to balance the budget, which was in near shambles.
Ghana Telecom.
Yes, Vodafone. Yeah, I mean, sorry, Ghana Telecom to Vodafone. That deal was to balance the budget, which was in shambles. At that time, where was Mr. Bawumia? Sorry, Dr. Alhaji. Which is it? Alhaji Bawumia.
You can use any. Alhaji Bawumia.
Where was he when he allowed the MPP administration to fall like a rock from the skies, meteorite? That is what the economy of the MPP was at the time that they had to sell the Vodafone and, the Ghana Telecom and shake hands.
Hold your horses.
Akufo-Addo to date has not been able to say
do you know
whether he collected 5,500 or 5,000 exactly.
I'll come back to you so you wrap up on that. Do you know a gentleman called Suleimana Topi? He's in Wa. He has this message for you. He says, you are a promising politician and is watching this show.
All right. Okay.
Rabiu, your take on that, a comparative analysis between what is happening now and what happened under the MPP regime, the fight against corruption.
All right. Before I come to that, let me state categorically that the issue of corruption is a very critical and serious issue that must be apoliticized or depoliticized. Whenever I'm given the platform to talk about corruption, I am interested in practicalities and not rhetoric. If you look at corruption, not just in Ghana, but in Africa, it is a post-independence monster that has drawn back the development of Africa so much that in the fight against corruption, we must be very serious. There is no denying the fact that corruption is pervasive in today's governance issues and leadership issues, as well as the development of countries. Coming back to Ghana, let me say that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has not just said that he will fight corruption, but he has shown demonstrable commitment to the fight against corruption. And the extent to which he's fighting corruption is rather used against this government as a corrupt government. I was having a personal discussion with a party member, I wouldn't like to mention his name, and he said that our president is doing so well in the fight against corruption, but his hard work is misconstrued to mean that there is corruption in this government, especially perpetrated by the MPP. There is that propaganda perpetrated by the MPP. And I think that in order for us to fight corruption very well. We should see it as a monster, a phenomenon so pervasive that is chopping deep into the development fiber of our economy and even social lives. And so take a political stance. Why wouldn't the MPP join His Excellency John Dramani Mahama in fighting corruption if they really are interested in fighting corruption? This is a president who can categorically sit on the international media and mention to the hearing and view of everybody that I have never taken bribe.
Nana Kumia, the communication director of the MPP, he believes, I mean, the answer should have been prompt.
Where prompt means what?
It was so late, he was contemplating whether the answer will be right
you see, English language is not our mother tongue.
Indeed.
And in our political discourse these days, you realize that people use it to subdue reality. That is exactly what Nana Kumia is doing. They've asked the president a question. Look, it's as simple as either I have ever taken bribe as a person or as a president of the Republic of Ghana or as a public official of the Republic of Ghana. And the president said, no, I have never done that, both as a person or whatever. What is wrong with that? I think as a country, if it were other countries, they would have been jubilating, having their president to have that courage, to have that cleanliness, to sit on international media and say boastfully that I have never taken bribe. We should be celebrating such a person. And his efforts are very clear. They are very explicit.
Let me chip in this. There's this letter purported to be circulated by the MPP claiming that the president, once upon a time, had a direct intervention in deciding the West Blue, I don't know, it's a company, the West Blue transaction. And it came to the fore that indeed it's a government policy and that it's not as if the president was dictating to the procurement board which company should be awarded the contract. But it's a government policy. A letter came from the Ministry of Finance indicating to the president that they have decided to act accordingly per the policy as enumerated by the presidency. And the president gave the go-ahead. But the MPP, as you always would know, skillfully are trying to use that, you know, taint it, become an artificial evidence, used to say, oh, Mr. President, after all, you are not telling the truth. This evidence of your direct involvement in awarding of contract. Because the president made a categorical statement that he does not award contract.
Yeah.
Sorry, okay. permit me to say, that's not skill. That's not skill. They're not doing anything skillful there. It has a political backlash that they do not realize. Okay. If you look at the MPP and their activities on the media these days, they get an issue that is absolutely a lie put on the NDC and government, thinking that it is going to stop there. Then we come out and give a perfect remonstration. We give a perfect rebuttal, debunking what they have put out there. And if the Ghanaian people realize that it's a lie, they quail back. What do you think is going through the people? These are people who are very discerning. I've told you all the time, whenever we interact, that electorates are very discerning.
Indeed.
Even those that we think are illiterates, those that do not listen to programs like this, and they do not understand English, they don't even listen to radio programs. Look, don't take them for granted. People hear things and they tell them and they use their own senses to interpret them. The MPP cannot win elections based on falsehood. They cannot win elections based on lies. If the president is fighting corruption, it is very manifest. It is clear for everybody to see. The national service issue, when the president directed investigation there, when the president directed investigation at the National Health Insurance, and a whole lot. I think as a country, what we should have been doing was to be celebrating this man, because this is a president who damned the consequences to say that if there are traces or even people are having, are having issues with respect to institutions that they think that corruption is going on there, the president gives a directive for such institutions to be investigated. This has never happened under an MPP government. We are talking about a political party that is in power, and when you complain about corruption, somebody comes out to tell you that, look, corruption is not only peculiar with this government. It has existed since the time of Adam and Eve. That is not a fight against corruption.
Talking about corruption will damage his government.
You understand that? And no mean a person, but a national chairman of a political party will come out to tell you that at the presidency, people are taking bribes, and you think that is a joke.
In Ghana must go back.
No, he said that the last time he went to the castle at that time, his car was loaded with so much money, he had difficulty moving the car. The money was
kickbacks and a whole lot of things. So we are talking about a government that has shown demonstrable commitment. We are talking about a government that is a government led by a president who is not for once being fingered about a corruption issue. We are talking about a president who is internationally recognized vis-a-vis his fight against corruption. And so as a country, we should be hailing him and celebrating him as a hero, because what he is doing, we have never seen that.
I just have about a minute to go. But another source of their corruption allegation is that most of the contract under this government are being sourced. But I remember they have about 8% of contract that were sole sourced in 2008. That's against 3% or 1% of the NDC actually. Now.
Now, you see,
just a final word in 60 seconds.
For me, I think the sole sourcing argument is moot. On this West Blue one, I think that government took a policy decision in 2015 to, change that policy.
Yes.
And the president is the head of his own cabinet.
Absolutely.
And various ministries that handle various aspects of the portfolio. And the finance ministry, therefore, was charged with the responsibility of engaging with people, and there was a lot of back and forth between the presidency and the finance ministry. And so correspondence had changed hands. This that they are purporting is a proof. It's actually one of such correspondence that okays the policy decision that had been taken. But it did not constitute a directive per se in terms of the actual choosing. It was saying that make sure that it is consistent with the things that need to be done. And just a last one, I think that if organizations like Occupy Ghana and other MPP-related bodies are serious about the fight against corruption, which we all are for, let's all join hands and ensure that we work towards unearthing corruption no matter where we find, including that which Afoko and others have pointed in the MPP. That is when we can see them as truly independent and meaning business for the people of Ghana.
Just a final one before we go.
Yes, finally, I'll talk about the NCC issue briefly. I think the NCC is constitutionally mandated as one of their functions to formulate, implement, and formulate policies intended to inculcate.
Yes, but we'll continue this discussion on our next edition. Thanks for watching, and thanks for being part of the discussion. Goodbye.